How's it going? Frank Z here. Just gonna show you some little bit more progress on what's going on here with this guy. I don't know, you might not have seen the previous video, you might have, but I'll show you the specs on this. Pure Sine, 120 volt DC input. Rated power, 10 kilowatts. Input voltage, AC. I'm not going to be using that. Output voltage, AC. I will be using that. Looks good. Just show you this here. Hard to see with this, but this is my battery capacity. It's about the only thing that's active on this. This stuff is just programmed, it stays there. This one does change. But, yeah, whatever. And it does show you the load too. If you see that little load sign, it'll tell you when the water pump comes on, it goes into 1 bar or something. So, it is running my house right now. But, it's not at 120 volts. I didn't have enough extra batteries, say. I still have my 48 volt system going. It's actually going right now. It's running the water. That's actually, running the water heater. That's it. That's all it's running. And this guy is running the house. But, because I didn't have enough batteries, I'm using these open lead acid. Haven't used these guys in about 6 or 7 months. I don't know if you can hear it, but they're gassing pretty good right now. I double checked the water. This guy here is a little bit low, not too bad. But yeah, they're alright, a little dirty. I could give them a little cleanup. You can see they're actually gassing quite a bit now. They haven't been in use for a while, so it's nice to get them using again. They're happy. I don't think batteries like being sitting. You seem to have to use them a couple times before you start getting power out of them properly again. But this is how I'm charging them. I have two 48 volt banks there. You seen what I got over there. But I don't have a high enough charger, so this guy here is a 48 volt, and this guy here is a 48 volt, hooked up to each side of the bank, and then the bank is seriesed. So it's actually 96 volts coming into this, nominal, and two 48 volt charge controllers charging with two separate equal panels, but in different spots. So the one on the right gets a little bit longer, so I'm just playing around right now anyways. It's not a permanent situation by any means, but each one's on a 40 amp breaker. I got the main on a 250 amp breaker, just because that's what I have. I don't think I've passed 12 amps off this yet, and that's just surges from the water pump running other things. So yeah, you can see here, this is only 8 gauge wire. More than enough for this setup, believe it or not. You think 12 volt system is 1,000 watts is 1 kilowatt. 1,000 watts is 83 amps at 12 volts. So at 120 volts, 10,000 watts is 83 amps. Pretty cool math, but it actually really keeps the wire down. I'm going to go a bit heavier gauge, probably a number 4 wire, just so I get some surge. I don't even come close to 10 kilowatts, and this thing still can't do 220, so I'm not running anything other than what I've been running, but it keeps keeps it into one tight little package instead of having two inverters running, one being a modified sine. And I don't think that's good for the batteries. It does have a little bit more AC ripple, not much. I think my meter's not great, but it looks like I'm getting about 2 volts with a 3,000 watt load. So I don't know. It goes down to up to, I've seen it down as low as 0.7 of an amp AC. So it does have some. The other pure sine is quite a bit better. This one's got about 1 volt. So, but this one also has that split thing that people have been talking about. I don't have it hooked up right now. I could show you quick if I can. Probably not. Take my word for it. Each leg coming out of here, this is almost like a split phase inverter. Each leg coming out is 60 volts. So if you go between the ground and I'll do it. Go between the ground and the neutral, it's 60 volts. You go between the hot and neutral, it's 60 volts. AC. So, let's see if I can do this with one hand here. Oh, that gives you 120. And go here to here. 66.8. And you go from here to here. Kind of all over the place, but you see what I mean? So this one you don't want to use your ground either, because if you do use your ground, it makes your neutral live. So even if you turn off a breaker that's only running on your hot leg, your neutral leg to your ground is still giving you 60 volts of power. So that's, I know a lot of the cheaper inverters, you can't do that because they've actually disconnected the ground inside the unit, which doesn't allow you to do this test here. But this one is old enough where they haven't did that yet. But anyways, that's just what I got there. So back to the charging part. You can see how this is working. These guys are both temperature compensated, the same. They're pretty fairly same controllers. The battery bank that the left guy is on is a little bit older than the battery bank on the right. So you can see them charging a little bit different, and they will sit a little bit different when they're being used. So, but when they stay at this voltage, they stay at this voltage. You know what I mean? So, I'm just showing you. Very cool. It works great. This is actually day 3. It does hit a low voltage at 102. It'll shut off at about 110 volts. A little bit less, 108 volts. It'll start beeping. And then around 102 it shuts off, which it is kind of good to know on the 120 volt system, because I'm never going to take my batteries down to 102 volts at 120 volts. That's a 10.2 volts in a 12 volt system, and that's a dead battery. That's like 1.5 volts per cell. It's unacceptable. But on this system, I can run it right till it shuts off. It doesn't hurt my batteries. Might hurt the inverter a little bit. But this is how it is for now. I do run this. It's been running all day today since 8 o'clock this morning. Off 1,000 watts of panels. I have 2 panels, 270 watt monos hooked up to one charge controller and 270 watt monos on the other in series. And then each 2 panels runs in off a 40 amp breaker. This one here is for the right. This one here is for the left. I could shut them off. These go to the battery. I don't need nothing special. It's a very, very low amp setup. These guys don't even get warm. It's been running all day. I've seen it hit up to 7 amps a piece. They're pretty cool. They actually do run fairly equal. And like I don't have any balancers on there, anything. It's just straight batteries. But those batteries, they're kind of all over the place. They really needed a balancer set up on their equalizer. Got a few more of them coming too, so shouldn't be too long. I have a 120 volt DC system going here with 42, and not only that, I'm putting in my inputs will be 180 volts DC, so that's 6 panels. 6 panels in series, and I have 18, so that's 3 parallel rows of 6, which cuts my wiring down again. And yeah, I think this is just going to be a much better system. Plus, like right now, I'm running the house. I bet I'm pulling an amp or something through there. I'll do a check on that. What she draws, like pretty much whatever's going through there at 120, it's coming off the battery about the same. So it's very minus some efficiency losses here and there, you know, how solar works and extra equipment. DC. So this even shows you which way the direction's going. There you go, 2 amps coming off the batteries. It's not bad. It's the kind of way I like to have my draw off the batteries, keeping that shit low. I think I told someone before that you kind of want to make your batteries think that you're not taking any power from them. I don't think they really know about, they don't deal with watts as much as they, you know, matter about voltage and amps for that kind of thing. Like those batteries I have inside here, these guys there, those guys, they were set up on a 360 volt system, so in 30 batteries in series, and then 2 banks paralleled. So I'm gonna go 10 batteries in series, but 4 banks of that. And to keep my wiring down and to keep my balancers down, I'm gonna go 4 batteries in parallel and then 10 banks with 4 batteries. Then it'll also be easier on my balancers. Yeah, everything will just be a lot simpler, other than the voltages will be more dangerous and higher. Anyways, have a good day. Tell me what you think of this system and my progress so far. Thanks a lot. Bye. So, here's a quick look at the inside of this puppy here. You can see it's quite the transformer. Now, if you want to look at, compared to this is a 10 kilowatt transformer. So, if you want to compare that to other models, this is what you'd want to do. Not very much stuff going on in there. It's live right now, so See that little black, that thing right there? I think that's the speaker that's beeping like crazy here when it goes to a low voltage. But so I just want to show you how we got the garden going. Not bad. I think I need some of them shadow boxes, or shade screen, or whatever it's called. It's doing better though. Give it a little touch of fertilizer. It brought back a lot of the color to it. So let's see how she goes. These guys are all looking a little darker. Anyways, but yeah. Lost a tree, so I just trimmed her up. And time flies. So there's the left side panels that feeds the left side controller. Yeah. And this wire here, that's for this guy here. You see where we're at. The sun's already over there. So that's for the right side. These guys have been here for a while. They were keeping the other bank on float. So everything's going over here. Need to clean them. The pollen's starting to get on there a bit. It's a great spot, this spot here for these guys. Anyways, this is what we're working with for that bank there. It's running the air conditioning. It does give me a bit of a buffer, where if you just directly hook the 4 panels up to it, you know, you don't have much buffer. When a cloud hits, it just shuts right off. Doesn't really give you much explanation, it just shuts off, you know. Same with if it surges, it shuts off. So it's sometimes hard to even get it started, especially if there's a cloudy day like this today. I know it doesn't seem like much, but when you only have 1,000 watts of panels and you're running 600 watts, you know, now you're not really making, so now you're pulling off the batteries. And because it's a 96 volt setup into a 120 volt nominal device, which means that the batteries will never hit their low. They'll just stop working when they're still, you know, considered full. So it does give me some buffer when it's in a high charge, but if it goes into float, it gives me no buffer. And it actually consumes, because it takes a little bit of power to keep them afloat or to keep them charging. So between that and what it actually burns, you know, it burns 0.5 to 0.7 of an amps at 120 volts or whatever you're coming in at. So it was burning about 0.5 at 114. So that's probably 100 watts almost. But it is what it is. Anyways, thanks.